All right, Shalom. First and foremost, like always, all praise, honor, and glory and fear to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone who lead our nation, and peace and salutations to the hopeful elect brothers out there and a few sisters that's tuning in. I say Shalom, and I want to do a quick video on this interview. This is by a former NFL player by the name of Marshawn Lynch. He also goes as Beast Mode. The coin beast mode that people like to use. They utilize that phrase, but it was started with this man right here to the right of the screen. And he was coined that or given that nickname based off how he ran the ball as a running back. He has a podcast that he has, and as you can see to the left, the most famous face in health, in human health now is Dr. Anthony Fauci is on his podcast. So I found it very interesting that these two individuals would do a podcast. So you can never put anything past Esau. You know, you have to look and see what's beneath, what's deeper. You know, how deep down this rabbit hole gonna go. Because these two men should never cross each other's paths. They can know about one another, but they shouldn't be interacting with one another. They come from two different backgrounds, two different ways of life, and they don't have the type of lifestyles that should be engaging with one another. And it's crazy, especially from Marshawn Lynch. Now he had no nonsense, speak his mind, stick to the grind type of person. And Fauci is this, you pretty much know how he is and how he gets down. These two individuals, if it wasn't for money, I don't think would ever have eyes for one another to speak and say anything towards each other. But they're using Marshawn Lynch. I think he was probed to do this interview so his audience on his podcast could be reached, because Marshawn Lynch, he just to speak a little bit on him. He's from Oakland, California. I mean, the man's came up under the gang bang mentality. I'm not gonna sit and say that I know for a fact that he's a gang member, but I'm pretty sure he's affiliated. I mean, in the Super Bowl, the man was in the Super Bowl in the locker room with a whole all red sweatsuit on, dancing to gangster music, throwing up gang signs. So either he's a member or he's affiliated, or his family's affiliated, and which makes him affiliated. So, I don't know where he's from or what set he claims or whatever the case may be, but yeah, he's affiliated, and he comes from the hard grinding streets of Oakland, and that's what his audience is. His audience is the hood, the ghetto, the project housing. This is the cloth that he's cut from. And that the individuals who probably watch his podcast or pay attention to anything he does or promote is that crowd of people, that direct urban audience that Esau wants to tap into, because that's who they want taking the vaccine. That's who they want taking the jab. That's who they're trying to focus and target. And so they're going to start reaching out to these certain individuals who have key influence to that type of audience, Marshawn Lynch being one. And so he did this interview, and that's, in my opinion, is the purpose of why they even doing the interview. And he got on Marshawn Lynch's podcast to try to I guess you could say, massage the urban neighborhoods with the blacks and Latinos, so-called African Americans and Latinos and Hispanics. They want to ease their minds and thoughts and concerns about taking the vaccine. So what better to do is to have somebody that they look up to or like, or somebody that came from they parts of town or their environment, to actually interview this guy, so he can get on there and start basically lying to the people to make them feel more comfortable with going ahead with the jab. So I'm gonna read a little bit of it, and then I'm gonna play a few minutes of the video, and then I'm gonna go into the scriptures. So it says, former Seattle Seahawks superstar Marshawn Lynch has moved to dispel some of the questions surrounding the various COVID-19 vaccines amid concerns that some African American communities are fearful of the jab. And I'm going to say certain things. I'm going to read verbatim, so these are not my words. Just a disclaimer for individuals who watch these videos that's connected to YouTube. I'm just simply reading an article that I did not publish from Art for Russia Today or RT News that published this article that I'm reading. So please don't strike my video. So it says Lynch garnered a reputation as being one of the NFL's grittiest competitors in a 12-year career on the gridiron, which saw him claim a solitary Super Bowl ring as well as 5 Pro Bowl appearances, which he should have had a second ring that he gave him in a ball on the 1-yard line. But anyway, moving along. But even the man known as Beast Mode admits that he has some reservations about the efficiency of the COVID-19 vaccines. Many figures within the African American and Hispanic communities have expressed serious reservations about the shot, given decades-old claims that the federal government often has had the best interests of the minorities at heart. It says, but in a bid to learn more, Lynch invited infectious disease expert and much discussed figure in American life, Dr. Anthony Fauci, onto his podcast, where Lynch had laid bare his concerns about the vaccine rollout, asking if the vaccine will leave him more fucked up than if he didn't take it. We don't seem to be on the well-received end of those situations, said Lynch, who admitted that he has not yet received a dose of the vaccine. I mean, I believe there is it's an education type situation and not so much the vaccination. But anytime we have been told we are going to be in a situation to have something gave to us or put in our communities to help us, it seemed to turn out very bad for us. It says Fauci called Lynch's concerns a really good point, but moved to say that 3 of the most prominent vaccines currently being administered across the globe had been tested on more than 30,000 people, including African Americans and Hispanics. I totally respect the reluctance that African Americans have about things like this, because you're absolutely right. The history of how the federal government, going back decades, particularly in the areas of medicine or medical issues, have they treated African Americans has not been something to be proud of, Fauci explains. When we get over this outbreak, I hope we don't forget all of the things you're talking about. What we got to remember is let's get through this corona pandemic now. Let's get African Americans and Hispanics vaccinated. This is the purpose of it. The purpose of this article that's written is to basically bring light to this interview that was taking place between Marshawn Lynch and Dr. Anthony Fauci. But the purpose, and I'm glad that RT is actually doing a story on this, so it can reach even more people to see, so we can tell why they're having this. It's because they're so-called blacks and Hispanics, or African Americans and Hispanics, they're not taking the vaccine. They're not taking the jab. That's just what it is. And with good reason of why they're not taking it. They have concerns because basically what the article is saying what took place in the interview. But they're only doing this to try to bring down the concerns of the minorities, primarily blacks and Hispanics, Latinos, concerns with taking the vaccine. But when it's over, let's try to make a commitment that would likely last for decades and decades to try and turn around those conditions that got African Americans behind the eight ball in the first place. That's what we've got to do. So I'm assuming this is Marshawn Lynch posted this on his Instagram. It says Lynch also explained that his stance isn't to compel people either side of the debate, but rather to furnish people with the information that they might need to make an informed decision for themselves. What I gather from this is basically Esau came to Marshawn Lynch because Esau is probably still supplying Marshawn Lynch with whether it's a retirement check or some type of endorsement check or something he's getting. And Esau came to him and was like, we need you to do this. We need to tap into your community. Whether they told him, whether he knows it's the wickedness behind it or why they want him to do this or not, they coerced him to doing this. They put him up to doing this, and he knows that this is some bullshit. That he knows that his people gonna be like, what you doing this interview for? We don't give a damn about that. They gonna look at Marshawn Lynch sideways. So he went on his Instagram to say that I'm basically not taking a stance or a side or try to compel anyone to take this stance on when it comes to the debate, or I'm not taking this stance when it comes to the debate, but rather to bring light or bring attention to it so people could be well informed to make the decision for themselves. He's basically playing damage control with his own audience and his own people from his own hood and other hoods all across the earth, because hood news travels fast. So he's basically just trying to clean it up, play damage control at this point. It says it's all about education for me, he said, per AP. Hopefully, that's Associated Press, and I guess he did another interview with them. Hopefully this, or maybe this comes from the Associated Press, and RT did a segment on it. Hopefully this gets across to the individuals that need the information, that need the education. Hopefully it makes an impact. Some health concerns have been noted in the early rollouts of the shots, with both the AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson's vaccines being paused in certain markets, amid fears that it could lead to a higher rate of potential fatal blood clots among recipients. How about them dying? How about the deaths? How about the people going in to take a shot, a vaccine so they can survive and they end up dying? However, medical professionals have warned that an extended hiatus of vaccine administrations could cost lives. Hold up, if it's costing lives one way, but it's costing lives the other way, it's going to cost lives regardless. And the potential negative effects of a vaccine are far outweighing by the dangers of contracting COVID-19. And it is. You should just take your chances with COVID-19, because COVID-19's symptoms is nowhere near what the vaccines and the jab symptoms are. You got people head swelling up. You got people skin peeling. You got people having the shakes and all kind of crazy, look like life altering symptoms, as well as dying, as well as comas. I mean, do we got to name how many? I'm gonna just name a few. You had Hank Aaron took the vaccine and died. You had Marvelous Hagler. This is of recent. He took it and he died. You had Thomas Hitman Hearns took it, and he was down and out. Looked like he was about to give up the ghost, but I think he kind of pulled through. If I'm not mistaken, he pulled through, but he still looked jacked up. And then recently DMX took it, and he's gone. And it's looking like I haven't paid attention the last couple of days with the condition when it comes to Black Rob, but he's looking like he's extremely sickly and his life might expire soon, based off what I'm seeing. This just to name a handful. There's many more. That's just the celebrities that I'm speaking of on hand. Not talking about all the people at the different at these different elderly shelters and things like that. But anyway, let's get into the scriptures, because the scriptures tell you clearly how we're not supposed to, listen to and follow the so-called wicked, which is Esau. So this is Job 13:4. But ye are forgers of lies. You're all physicians of no value. You're a physician of no value. Taking the vaccine and the jab is not a physician. A physician means healer. They're not healing. They're actually destroying people's lives. So taking this vaccine is from a forger of lies, and a physician of no value is not a wise decision to take upon yourself. It says, "Oh, that ye would altogether hold your peace, and it should be your wisdom. Hear now my reasoning, and hearken to the pleading of my lips. Will ye speak wickedly for the Most High? Question mark. Will you do that, Esau? And talk deceitfully for him? Of course. He always does this. He always act like he's in the name of coming in instead in the Most High's place, but yet he's still taking people out. He's still jacking people up. Verse 8: Will ye accept his persons? Will ye contend for the Most High? No, he won't. He's a forger of lies, and one of the commandments is thou shalt not lie. And all he does is lie. The scriptures say he go astray from the moment he been born, speaking lies. Verse 9: Is it good that he should search you out, or as one that mocketh another? Do ye so mock him? And you are, because you trying to play like as if you're the Most High, and that you decide who lives or dies. Which is why the Most High is going to bring a judgment so heavy and so strong on you, more than anyone in any judgment that the Most High has passed, which is to destroy you. Verse 10: He will surely reprove you if you do secretly accept the persons. And Esau, this is directed towards you. So this is what you have coming. Because you're over here trying to destroy the Most High's people. You're trying to touch the apple of the Most High's eye. Even 2/3 of our people that the Most High have set for that judgment, you still the wicked on the planet, and you showing it. You're a perfect devil. This is Sirach 14. Actually, I want to close with that one, so let me go to this one real quick. This is Sirach 12:10. It says, Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. And Marshawn Lynch, you shouldn't have had this dude on your podcast. Especially if you didn't get your arm twisted for it. If Esau didn't twist your arm and try to basically put you in a pickle, put you in a like a blackmail situation or some type of, how he gets down to force you to do it, you shouldn't have did this. You ain't supposed. You basically leading your people to a slaughter. You're playing that role. When the scriptures say, "My sheep is led to the slaughter," you're helping that come to pass. When you even introduce and even having concerns, even though you said you had concerns. Even though in the interview you said that you ain't took it and you had concerns. If you ain't took it, what the hell are you telling your audience about this for? Why are you bringing it any attention? You shouldn't even put a highlight on this topic. There's so much other stuff you could be dealing with. Verse 11: Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass. And thou shalt know that his rust had not altogether wiped away. And that's what we doing. That's why the men of the Lord do videos on this stuff, because we're putting that we're the ones that's putting the magnifying glass on everything that's going on. I did this video because you got people out here that's gonna watch this video or watch and not know, but Marshawn Lynch is being utilized. He's nothing but a piece on the chessboard that Esau controls, or strings. He's not the hand. There's strings that's attached to his back, and that's why he did this interview. That's why he did this interview with Fauci for his podcast. You don't need this dude. You don't need Fauci for your audience at all. You're being used, like I said. And the scriptures talk about usury, where you're being used for the purpose of Esau to reach your audience, so he can get down to breaking down their concerns or trying to warm them up so they could be willing to go take the vaccine. I'm gonna close out with this last scripture right here. This is Sirach 14:5. It says, "He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods." And Esau, he destroying his own people. And the scriptures talk about 2-time losers. Meaning you got Edomites that are getting persecuted, or they're getting suffering in their own. It's supposed to be their time for rulership. It's their kingdom. It's their empire. But you got Edomites that are homeless, and you got Edomites that are being killed, but by different things that Esau is doing to his own people. And I'm not just talking about the vaccine and the jab. I'm talking about what the air, the chemtrails in the air. I'm talking about the fluoride and the lead, and it's all the stuff they put in the water and in the food sources, then the medications, and everything. Population control is geared towards you Jakes, but it's also covering you other nations too, primarily some of you Edomites. Verse 5, it says, "There is none worse than he that envieth himself, and this is a recompense of his wickedness. And if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness." So if he do something and it seemed like he is helping, he ain't willing to do it. That was an accident, or he wasn't willingly doing it, but he had to do that so he can further accomplish an agenda that he was setting out to do. But in the end, you'll see how wickedly he really is, because all his wickedness will come forth. "The envious man had a wicked eye. He turneth away his face and despised men. A covetous man's eyes is not satisfied with his portion." And that's Esau. You're not satisfied with the blessing you was given by our forefather Isaac. You wanted the main blessing, but you got the secondary blessing. You got the side, the scraps. That's what your blessing was, because the rightful blessing was prophesied to be unto the elder will serve the younger. So the primary blessing was to go to who? Jacob. But you're not satisfied. That's why you said you asked Isaac to bless you. "Bless me, Father, even me." Roughly paraphrasing. Do you have but one blessing? In your blessing, it still said you're still gonna serve Jacob. You're gonna serve your brother. So that's why you're not satisfied with your portion, and that's why you come after our people like crazy, because you want that birthright back. You want to offset and upset prophecies, which you won't be able to do. "And the iniquity of the wicked dried up his soul." So my deepest concerns is for people that watch this interview and don't take what they should take out of it. What you should take out of this interview with Marshawn Lynch and Dr. Anthony Fauci is the fact that they're going to start using more and more these so-called African-American celebrities to reach your followers, because you have millions of followers, and whether they're following you in whatever you do in your everyday, shows, movies, music, or sports entertainment, or whatever it is that you do as your means to being famous. Then also you got you have millions of followers on Instagram, you got millions of followers on TikTok, you got millions of followers on YouTube. So they're trying to you're being used as a piece on the chessboard, your pawns. You're a small piece on the chessboard to make major accomplishments on the moves that Esau wants to make. So our people need to wake up and see that what's going on. With that, I want to say all praise, honor, and glory and fear to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who lead our nation, and peace and salutation to the hopeful elect. Shalom.